When Zootopia released in 2016, it was not only praised for its amazing animation, but also its powerful world building and for its unusually layered characters. And among those characters, none is more central or more thematically important than Judy Hopps. Judy's arc is not just a simple hero's journey about a small town bunny who becomes a big city cop. Her evolution mirrors the movie's central thesis, that bias, fear, and prejudice live within everyone, even those who believe themselves immune to them. Overcoming those flaws, however, requires humility, responsibility, and the willingness to change. In this video, we're going to unpack Judy's growth from an idealistic young rabbit chasing an impossible dream to a more mature, self-aware officer who must confront the prejudices she didn't even know she had. Judy Hopps begins the film as the embodiment of optimism. From the moment she steps on stage in a school play, explaining that predators and prey once lived in violent opposition but now coexist peacefully, she presents herself as a believer in progress and fairness. She is certain that the world is better now and that she can push it further. But even here, the seeds of her internal conflict were planted. Her worldview is based on the idea that prejudice is something that existed in the past, and that she is part of a generation beyond all that. Judy does not see herself as someone who could ever be biased, because she imagines prejudice as an outdated barbaric trait. It's that overconfidence, that blind belief in her own moral purity that later becomes her downfall. As a child, Judy is confronted by Gideon Gray, a fox whose bullying is framed explicitly in predator versus prey terms. The experience scares her but also motivates her to become a cop, someone who stands up for the weak, yet it also quietly shapes her implicit biases. Her discomfort around foxes isn't loud or hateful, instead it surfaces subtly, as a lingering fear she rationalizes away.
Well, he was right about one thing. I don't know when to quit.
By the time she reaches Zootopia Police Academy, Judy frames herself as an underdog who must work 10 times harder. The world tells her rabbits can't be cops, so she interprets every obstacle as evidence of discrimination against her. And at this point, the audience is meant to sympathize with her completely. But Zootopia is smarter than that. Judy's focus on the barriers she faces blinds her to the possibility that she might sustain biases of her own. Judy graduates and leaves her family, who warn her constantly about foxes.
This is fox deterrent.
Yeah, that's safe to have that.
This is fox repellent.
Okay, the deterrent and the repellent, that's all she needs.
Check this out.
Oh, for goodness sake.
But Judy believes she has already won the battle against prejudice simply by rejecting the mindset of Bunny Barrow. Judy's arrival in Zootopia is presented like a dream fulfilled. The city is vast, dazzling, diverse, and it promises opportunity for anyone. But Judy quickly learns that the ideals she carried with her don't automatically apply. She's relegated to parking duty because Chief Bogo sees her as a token, a symbolic hire.
Sir, I'm not just some token bunny.
Well, then writing 100 tickets a day should be easy.
For the first time, Judy feels the sting of being underestimated for something she cannot change. And what's amazing here is that the film doesn't immediately validate Judy's belief that she alone understands fairness. Instead, it forces her to see that her experience of systemic bias is not the same as understanding prejudice on a societal level. Judy believes being looked down on as a bunny is equivalent to the centuries-long predator-prey dynamics playing out beneath the surface of the city. Her perspective is sincere but incomplete. Then comes Nick Wilde. Nick is Judy's first real challenge to the clarity of her worldview. He's sly, sarcastic, and seemingly content living with the stereotypes society has assigned him.
It's called a hustle, sweetheart. And I'm not the liar. He is.
Hey!
Judy wants to believe she sees the world clearly, but Nick represents a life experience she's never confronted. Their early interaction at the elephant ice cream shop is a turning point. Judy sees injustice, but fails to realize that helping Nick also means confronting her fear of foxes. Her instincts about fairness are strong, but her instincts about predators remain deeply ingrained. She's brave enough to chase criminals, clever enough to outmaneuver hustlers, and determined enough to force her way into the missing mammals case. But at the same time, she carries pepper spray specifically for foxes. She distrusts Nick before he even gives her any personal reason to. Judy's evolution accelerates once she and Nick begin investigating together. He challenges her assumptions, mocks her naive optimism, and points out the hypocrisy she refuses to acknowledge. Judy wants the world to be simple. Predators and prey are equal, and anyone and everyone can overcome stereotypes. But the case forces her to confront the uneven power dynamics and the underlying tensions beneath Zootopia's surface. As Judy becomes more empathetic, more capable, and more confident, she learns to understand Nick's pain, appreciates his intelligence, and sees him as an equal. The two develop genuine and trust. Judy is growing, but she's not yet transformed. That transformation requires a fall.
It may have something to do with biology.
The press conference is the moment Judy's arc breaks open. When she claims that predators may be reverting to their biological instincts, she unintentionally echoes ancient prejudices, and Nick is devastated by her words.
Predators survived through their aggressive hunting instincts. For whatever reason, they seem to be reverting back to their primitive savage ways.
Judy doesn't mean to be biased, but that's exactly the film's point. Prejudice doesn't require malice. It can emerge from ignorance, from fear, or from an incomplete understanding of history. Here, Judy confronts the gap between her self-image and her actions. She always saw herself as a champion of equality, but in a moment of pressure, she fell back on the very stereotype she believed she was above.
I knew it. Just when I thought somebody actually believed in me, huh? Probably best if you don't have a predator as a partner.
This is Judy's lowest point, not because she loses the case, but because she loses Nick's trust, and because she loses trust in herself. She resigns from the force and returns to Bunny Barrow, ashamed and confused.
You've always been a trier.
Oh, I tried. And it made life so much worse for so many innocent predators.
Judy learns that Gideon Gray, the fox who bullied her as a child, has grown, apologized, and changed. His redemption forces Judy to recognize that individuals are not defined by their species, even predators she once feared. Judy then returns to Zootopia not with her old idealism, but with humility. She apologizes to Nick in one of the film's most heartfelt scenes.
I was ignorant and irresponsible and small-minded. But predators shouldn't suffer because of my mistakes. I have to fix this. But I can't do it without you.
She doesn't justify her actions or hide behind excuses, and in doing so, she finally becomes the person she thought she already was. By the end of the movie, Judy steps into a new role, neither the overeager idealist nor the guilt-ridden ex-cop, but a grounded, self-aware partner. She solves the case not because she's trying to prove anything, but because she understands the stakes. Her relationship with Nick is now built on mutual respect, and the two operate as equals. Judy doesn't become perfect. The film doesn't pretend her biases are erased forever. Instead, her growth is shown through her behavior. She listens more, she reflects more, and she recognizes that being a good person isn't a static state, but it's an ongoing process that takes commitment. By this point in the movie, Judy represents the film's central message, that heroism isn't about strength or status, it's about self-awareness, accountability, and the courage to confront your own flaws. During her speech, when she says change starts with you, it's not empty optimism anymore, it's wisdom earned through experience.
Change starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with all of us.
Judy Hopps resonates because she defies the typical protagonist mold. She isn't a flawless moral beacon who spreads enlightenment to the world around her. Instead, she learns, sometimes painfully, that good intentions are not enough. She has to unlearn prejudice, confront systemic biases, and take responsibility for harm she causes. Her arc is a blueprint for what real growth looks like, admitting that bias can exist within you, holding yourself accountable and taking responsibility, listening to experiences different from your own, choosing humility over self-righteousness, and continuing to work toward a more just world. Judy's story is ultimately hopeful not because she's perfect, but because she chooses to become better.
I implore you, try. Try to make the world a better place.
Judy Hopps evolves from someone who believes she already understands justice into someone who realizes justice requires constant learning. She begins the film wanting to change the world, and ends the film understanding she must change herself too. And that's why her journey is so powerful. Judy Hopps evolves not just into a better cop, but into a better person. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already, and with all that being said, I hope to see you next time.